pretty close. I said about a half hour, 40 minutes, and it was a half hour. So we'll just bring the meeting back to order. The next item is under new business. That's PR 19-7. And no, we didn't do the BIA.
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
We're on to number 6.
No, we did. We moved 1 and 2.
Yeah.
No, but you didn't do it in bylaws. You did it in review.
Yeah.
So I'll do it in bylaws. Yeah.
Oh.
Number 6.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. That's right. All right. So yeah, we did the management report. So we're at 6, the bylaws. This is the downtown Comox BIA bylaw number 1928 and 2020 for first, second, and third reading.
Move.
Second.
Any questions on that? All in favor? All right, that's carried. Thanks. Okay, now we will move to the adoption of the BC Energy Step Code. That's PR 19-7.
Move for second and third reading.
17, yeah. 19-17, you seconder. So any questions on that? We're falling into place with Courtney here, so that'll be good for the Valley that we're all on the same page. So no questions, all in favor? Very great, thanks. So before we go on to rezoning application of ours at 19-7, I understand that our planner Marvin is going to give us a presentation. And because Marvin works for us, he gets more than 10 minutes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Presentations on rezoning application 19-7, development permit application 19-5, DVP 20-3 for 695 Aspen Road. Presentation outline, it's 6 sections, so it's a little bit lengthy, but it's a complex development. First, I'll go through an application summary, followed by location and land use context, the road network, OCP sustainability implications, affordable housing, then daycare, the development permit area guidelines, zoning, and traffic. So, the proposal is to rezone subject property, and so we have. This is the south side of the lot. Quality Foods is here. Gas station, Quality Gas Station is here. Aspen and Merlet. It's to rezone that undeveloped portion of land from the existing zoning to the comprehensive development zone to allow for 232 apartment dwelling units and approximately just over 700 square feet of commercial space. The proposal is to subdivide the property into 2 lots. So this east lot, or east building, would be on 1 lot. These 3 would be on a separate lot. On these 3, we're looking at 208 rental dwelling units with under building parking. So we have 4 floors of apartments and then under building parking. On this one, supports 4-floor building. Ground floor is commercial, so that's just over 700 square meters. And then 24 strata units above. And again, with under building parking. The location of the property, so yes, Quality Foods is here, Guthrie, Aspen, there's Merlet, Comox Avenue, and Anderton. The OCP, the long-term land use designation of the property, is mixed use commercial residential. It allows for 2 uses on a parcel. And those are primarily commercial and residential. Within development permit area number 4, 4 mixed use commercial residential, and that's primarily a form and character development permit area. And current zoning is C4.1 commercial. C4, yeah, core commercial. OCP implications in terms of the road network. So the town's road network is uses a hierarchy of roads. So the highest traffic volume road is an arterial. Then feeding into the arterials are major collectors. Then one level lower is a minor collector, and then your local road is the lowest. So this is from our official community plan. And so Aspen Road is actually designated a major collector, and it provides a connection for local and through traffic to and from the major east-west arteries of trying to hook up into Guthrie Road to the north, and then through Aiken into Comox Avenue, and then connection here coming down into Anderton, which is also an arterial, and then going and picking up the east side, of Comox, those residential areas. So for example, for context, so when we get into arterials, like Comox Avenue, Anderton, and Guthrie, those are designed for greater than 5,000 vehicle per day. That's it. Trips. I want to say trips. Vehicles per day. Guthrie, for context, is right now at 12,000 vehicles per day. And those arterials, the whole network, these traffic on these roads will increase over time, regardless of this development. There will be additional development within the town itself, to the north and into Courtney. And so those will be picking up that traffic going to and from. Aspen Road is a major collector. So on a major collector, so you're going from over 5,000, major collectors are designed for 3,000 to 8,000 vehicles per day. It's currently in the low range at 4,800. The Burlette Drive itself, it's not a major collector, it's a minor collector. So again, it's designed to pick up the local traffic and the through traffic to Aspen and McDonald, which then connects to the collectors, to the arterials. Major collectors, so that's designed for 3,000 to 8,000 vehicles per day. Current on Aspen, just the context is 4,800. Burlette Drive as a minor collector is designed for between 1,000 and 3,000. That's about 1,000 per day, so 1,000 is the maximum for a local road in terms of design. Parameters. Sustainability implications. Official community plan recognizes that climate change is caused by the increasing concentrations of greenhouse gas emissions. And there's two major sources of greenhouse gas emissions that a municipality has control over, and that's in terms of buildings and transportation. The OCP policies for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions are focused on three main points. One is transit-oriented development. So getting development and concentrating density within 400 meters of an existing public transit route. Energy efficient construction, so that's now taking the form of STEP code. And encouragement of alternate forms of transportation. So we're trying to make the buildings more efficient and less use of cars, alternative, and increasing the alternative forms of transportation. In regards to 695 Aspen, how that fits into that context. So it is locating new residential density within approximately 100 meters of a BC transit stop. So you've got the main frequent transit system is running down Guthrie. It's adjacent to an existing grocery store and other services, so that facilitates walking store to meet everyday needs. It's also within walking distance of Aspen Park, Lancaster Park, McDonald Greenway, and the Aspen Park Elementary School. Adjacent to existing bike lane on Guthrie Road, and it's proposed that Aspen Road and Merlette be major bike routes. That's not a bike lane. That's the idea of accommodating through traffic in terms of bikes. On-site, there's extensive on-site bike provisions in terms of bike lockers. Within 200 bike lockers, 200 spaces within either bike lockers or bike rooms underground. Security. In terms of alternative vehicles, so there's provision of 2 Class 2 electric vehicle charging stations proposed, and then conduit to allow for the wiring of additional 10% of the underground parking spaces as warrants for electric vehicle charging. The minimum BC, they're proposing proposing to be required to build to a minimum BC Building Energy Code Step 3, and targeting Step 4. Step 4 is really in its leading edge phase in terms of how do you reach it, the different you need special mechanical systems to reach that level of energy efficiency. So that's more in terms of cutting edge, where the industry is right now. As noted in the presentation from the applicant, they also include the roof mounted solar panels for the common areas. Going into the development permit guidelines and also in the zoning, wanted to focus on the community identified issues of height and density. The design guidelines really seek to, are based on 2 design principles in regards to massing and height. The first is that by providing sufficient detail and drawing a person's eye to the ground floor of the building, the visual impact of the building's height and vertical mass is reduced. So essentially, if you're looking down instead of looking up, you're looking at more of a pedestrian level. You don't see the, or you don't get the sense of the building over you. Similarly, vertical design features such as roof projections, projections of the building facade, and variations in color and materials provide visual focus points to reduce the visual impact of horizontal building mass. One thing I do want to note and stress is the historical, probably for the last 20 years, idea of popping building faces in and out and then terracing. That's going to be less and less viable. The most energy efficient building is a square building with really small windows. So if you think of the Nordic countries, and you see the landscape, it's a box. So we're going to see increasingly, as we go into the higher levels of the step code, relying on other features besides that building in and out to break up the buildings and draw the eye. So in terms of vertical massing and height, so there's a tapering on each of the buildings. The corner units are tapered down, right? Trying to provide some tapering in mass. That's combined with light colored siding on the 4th floor and then darker on the bottom. So trying, again, get that eye to the ground level. Locating buildings closer to the street provides visual interest for pedestrians. So if they're looking at something. We also have the ground level patios and the building pedestrian entrances facing the left to give that street frontage, as opposed to a building turning its back on the street. And then people don't want people aren't there looking at the details. So those are the features that are built in to draw the eye downward. In terms of the vertical mass, the vertical alignment of balconies helps to break it up. They're also using color, and very specific in how they use the color to try and break up that long horizontal massing of buildings, and focal points, including the roof projections. In regards to the west side of the lot, so the west side of the lot abuts existing patio homes. So there, a number of things have been done. One is only the narrow ends of the buildings face the west side, not the larger areas with the windows. In addition, there's no unit windows on those west elevations, except up at the top where your view in terms of overlooking someone's private space on the lot side would be cut off by the roof. These windows are within the stairwell, so laying within the stairwell. They're not within living areas. There's also an increased side yard setback of 9 meters, and that's heavily landscaped. Again, trying to draw that line down. Affordable housing. So the official community plan seeks to encourage developers to provide amenities in terms of contributions of units or funds to the town's affordable housing reserve fund. That money can only be used for affordable housing, provision of affordable housing within the town. In April of this year, that was increased from 10% of the density based on land value to 15%. So a significant increase that resulted in a payment of proposed payment of $143,000. The reserve fund. The OCP also states the town can work with market and nonprofit housing providers to facilitate the creation and management of affordable housing, rental housing, and special needs housing. So in this development proposal is an entitlement, essentially the option of the town to purchase for the intended use of affordable housing up to 6 one-bedroom, approximately 58 square meter units. Those will be built in accordance with the town's adaptable housing requirements in the mixed-use commercial residential building, and that's at the below market price of 186. So that's about a 38% savings to the town in comparison to an estimated market value of $300,000. There's also, in the event that proposed development is approved by council, the provision then for use of 143, in addition to the existing reserve, brings it up to 640,000. That would allow for us to, in coordination with a nonprofit, in this case Nicola, to get a BC housing loan on the property, and that would fund the entire purchase price. Working back, this much of a down payment, you have a loan amount this much, and you can figure out what the rents would be. So that results in an approximate rent of about $1,000 per month. That's approximately 20% less than the current advertised rent of $1,300 for a similar size unit on Anderton. So that's comparing new to new within approximately the same neighborhood. The OCP also encourages provision of adaptable housing to accommodate those physical limitations. So those 6 units will be available to the town with the adaptable units. In total, they're proposed a total of 22. Childcare. So the Comox Valley Regional District, in coordination with the town of Comox and the city of Courtenay, worked to obtain a grant and to get Comox Valley Child Care Action Plan completed. So that was just recently completed. So in that, the executive summary states that Comox Valley is experiencing a crisis in childcare where less than 1 in 5 families is able to secure licensed childcare. The ratio drops to approximately 1 in 7 for infant toddler childcare, so that's 0 to 3, and 1 in 9 for families for before and after school care. One of the proposed amenities would be for the option for the town to purchase one of the commercial units for a 28-space daycare. That would be for 12 spaces for children under 36 months of age and 16 spaces for children 36 months of school age. The town, the province has released funding to municipalities to pay for the purchase or to pay for the purchase operation of the daycares. So we've applied to both the Union of BC Municipalities and Ministry of Children and Family Development for funding to purchase the commercial space, which would then be operated by a nonprofit in the event that the development is approved by council. Zoning implications. Subject property is currently zoned C4.1 core commercial. C4.1 core commercial is the same zone that you see downtown. So that allows for buildings of 10-meter maximum height. If you have a flat roof, that gives you 3 floors. All 3 floors can be commercial. Residential is restricted to only the 2nd or 3rd floor. The proposed, there was a previously approved project for this part of the building, the west side of the site, and that was, it didn't go, it obtained all the development approvals. It didn't proceed at the choice of the developer. So that was for a 3-story commercial residential building, ground floor commercial, 2 stories above residential with a sloped roof, and that was approved for maximum height of 15.2 meters. The proposed CD 28 zone has a maximum height of 14 meters. In comparison, as we look around the properties, so just for context, across the road, single-family dwelling. Single-family dwelling standard in the town is for 9 meters. 9 meters, if you're somewhat indented, and with a flat roof, that'll actually get you 3 stories. So you're starting to see that already down on the view properties down in here. People are starting to jockey for views. In comparison, see the RM 2.1 zone right here where the patio homes are. That zoning actually allows townhouses or patio homes. The townhouse maximum height is 9 meters. Patio homes is 6.3, and the developer applied for and successful in obtaining a variance to increase that height to 7.25 meters back in 2006. You have RM 3.1 across the street that allows apartments, so apartments, townhouses, so a full range of multifamily uses with a maximum height of 9 meters. Same across the road, apartments, townhouses, the height goes up to 10 meters in that zone. In terms of setbacks from the west lot line, here, area of sensitivity. The existing C 4.1 zone is 3.5 meters. Previous development that was approved that did not proceed, 5.5 meters. Proposed CD 28 zone is 9 meters. And the minimum setback in terms of development on this lot from the lot line is 4.5. Densities increased with the proposed CD 28 zone comparison. We got 3-story zones by the adding of an additional 4. Traffic identified as a major concern. So in terms of the context of that road network and the existing plans, so the existing plans are for a comprehensive integrated commercial development at this site. Traffic study was done in 1998. That traffic study calculated on-site parking stall demand of 485 spaces. In contrast, the proposed development is 320 stalls, and for demand with post, so it's above the estimated demand, 334. In terms of vehicle trips, commercial generates a higher vehicle trip or vehicles per hour. So maximum inbound of 258, outbound of 280 during the PM peak hours. Residential has a lower of 78 inbound and 56. The plans are under this plan, where for this this full movement intersection right here, or driveway, to be shut off to right in, right out. So on a pork chop, and that's one of the reasons why that was required to be looked at in traffic study post development. It also, what that would do would direct traffic from this development down into this road and onto Merlette, the call for a left-hand turning magazine. So widening of Merlette and provision of a left-hand turning magazine. With these numbers, you don't have to shut this off to right in, right out. So the idea is that then it would remain in a full movement, allow more of the traffic to go directly into Aspen on major collector as opposed to the minor collector. That in turn, one of the things that was in these submissions today was a lot of concern over the safety of Merlette Drive. Sight lines were brought up by property owners, driveway access points. So when that traffic study took a look at that, essentially it's the kink in the road. Kink in the road will slow down traffic, which makes it safer for pedestrians.
You've never been there.
Okay, so we'll let Marvin continue.
Kinks in the road will slow down traffic as opposed to a straight road. The other thing that's happening is driveway accesses on this point are not in good locations relative to kinks in the road. So with this development, we asked them to take a look at what they could do to alleviate that existing condition. So the idea is, given that we have this existing kink and the sight lines, try to provide features that are going to do some kind of level of traffic calming to decrease traffic speed in this area. And so here it's a existing crosswalk coming down going to school. So there's a bulb out. You can't put a bulb out on the south side because that would interfere with an existing driveway access. In this case, when we come in here, we're able to put it on the south side. The other things that this allows to be done is allows us to maintain the existing 9-meter pavement width in the left, as opposed to our existing subdivision requirements that require to go up to 11 meters of pavement. So again, the wider the road, the more the driver sees, the more the driver expects to be able to go at a higher speed compared to a narrower road. And so also we would have to expand the existing pavement width on asphalt. And we don't have to do that. We can maintain. Burlette, under existing standards, we have to go from 9 to 11. Aspen, under the existing standards, we have to go from 11 to 13. And with that, that's the relation. Any questions?
Great. Thank you very much, Marvin. Does council have any questions of Marvin? No questions. Thank you very much, Marvin. Okay, so that brings us to rezoning application, RZ 19-7, that's development permit application DP 19-5, development variance permit application DVP 20-3, and this is code 695 Aspen. There's 7 different items, so we will start with number 1, that Comox zoning amendment bylaw 1934 be given first and second reading.
I'll move that.
Any questions? Councilor Smith?
It's not me,
Yes.
Somewhere in all the materials and reports that we've got, there was a suggestion that staff might do a presentation for the public before second reading. So, I'm just wondering about that.
Would this have been
More of that, or-
Under procedures bylaws, council has the option on all rezoning applications to have a open house, should we wish to do so. And that would be an additional public information meeting in advance of the public hearing. So it would only make sense then to do it after the first reading, in terms of there is an actual proposal on the table of council scene and prior to second. That's the option, and that will be the staff.
Just to be clear, staff aren't recommending that, they're just saying that that's an option.
Yeah, because tonight could have been, it's open to the public, could have been hearing all this as well.
Well, but my question is around here. We're talking about first and second reading right now. You would break it up to just be first reading. No.
You could do that.
Yes, we could.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so all in favor for first and second reading? Okay, great, thank you. And number 2, that Comox Phase Development Agreement Authorization Bylaw 1935, that's Aspen Muirlet, be given first and second reading.
I'll move that.
All right, so any discussion on number 2? All in favor? Okay, good, thank you. Number 3, that staff in consultation with the town solicitor to ensure the protection of the public interest be directed to negotiate a funding agreement with BC Housing for the purchase of up to 6 residential dwelling units referenced in attachment 6 to the February 5, 2020 planning report on RZ 19-7, DP 19-5, and DBP 20-3 for affordable housing, subject to Comox zoning amendment bylaw 1934 and Comox Phase Development Agreement authorization bylaw 1935. That is Aspen Muirlet being adopted by council in its sole and unfettered discretion.
I'll move it.
Second. All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. And for number 4, that staff in consultation with the town solicitor to ensure the protection of the public interest be directed to negotiate a potential lease agreement with Wacola Housing Society for the operation of up to 6 of the residential dwelling units referenced in attachment 6 to the February 5, 2020 planning report on RZ 19-7, DP 19-5, and DBP 20-3 as affordable housing in accordance with Community Charter Sections 24, 26, and 94, subject to Comox zoning amendment bylaw 1934 and Comox phase development agreement authorization bylaw 1935. Again, asking your elect being adopted by council in its sole and unfettered discretion.
Move.
All right. Any questions? Councillor Swift.
Thank you. I normally, we're trying to direct some of these agreements through the Coalition to End Homelessness, and I know we've gone directly to Macola Housing Society as being the operator, and I'm just wondering if you could speak to that one.
Certainly. Town's affordable housing strategy and policy in the USCP encourages us to provide provision of affordable housing within the town. That's in cooperation with nonprofits. Simply because the town doesn't have the staff and the expertise, isn't structured in such a manner to arrange the funding in terms of for the nonprofit units or the daily operations. So when we talked to the developer and negotiations were going, so they knew in advance about the affordable housing contribution that was up on them after they initially contacted the town, so it went from 10 to 50%. We also then approached them and said there's a shortage of affordable housing in the town, and we needed to partner with you in terms of getting some units at the cost of construction that we would then have nonprofit operate. They were very hesitant in terms of getting involved in a process where they're negotiating with a third party or their applications getting held up by a third party or anything that was going to delay, so add another process into it. So what that meant was we had to look for a nonprofit that we plug in that did have experience not only in operating the units in the town, a lot of the ones that are operating the units, those people that are operating lines, they are the ones who set it up are long gone, and we're just an operation. So we're really looking for somebody who had experience in and a proven track record in the current programs in terms of setting it up. Braidwood had just been done, and that was Macola who had done that. We knew just from conferences and things like that that folks are fairly experienced. They have presence in the valley, and we did check with the city court in terms of what they found that relationship to be like. They were favorable in terms of that relationship. For that reason, then we contacted them. Again, where it's a matter of being able to show in negotiations to the developer that you can actually deliver on it. We can do this without holding things up. And that's why the resolutions we have before us, all the offers are to the town, and the developer is now tied to the second part, which is the town's network.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And on to number 5 is that a public hearing in respect to the Comox zoning amendment bylaw 1934 and Comox phase development agreement authorization bylaw 1935, asking your elect be scheduled for March 5, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. The Comox Community Center, that's the rec center in Comox, at 1855 Knoll Avenue, and staff be instructed to publish the requisite notices as required by the Local Government Act.
I'll move that.
Second. Any questions on that? Councillor Grant?
More of a comment than anything. I realize on this development, there's quite a bit of angst in the neighborhood. And when I look at the proposal that is before us, I think there's enough positive here in the affordable housing, the Sanico, daycare, and our lack of rental stock, not only in Comox, but in the valley, that I'd really like to push this on to public hearing so that we can hear what the rest of the town think of this. I guess no decisions have really been made yet, but after we've heard that, then we can really get down to the nuts and bolts. But I think that I think there's enough merit to at least take it out to see what the rest of the town think of. So that's my rationale.
Any other questions, comments from council? All in favor? And number 6, that staff publish notice for sections 24, 26, and 94 of the Community Charter of Attention to provide assistance in proposed property disposition to Macola Housing Society in the form of a maximum 60-year lease, that's 60-year lease with a less than market value of $10 for the operation of up to 6 of the residential dwelling units, reference in attachment 6, the February 5, 2020 planning report on RZ 19-7, EP 19-5, DBP 20-3 as affordable housing, subject to Comox zoning amendment bylaw 1934 and Comox phase development agreement authorization bylaw 1935, Aspen Muralette being adopted by council in its sole and unfettered discretion.
Move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, thank you. And number 7, that staff publish notice per sections 24, 26, and 94 of the Community Charter of Attention to provide assistance and propose property disposition to the Comox Valley Children's Daycare Society in the form of a maximum 60-year lease for the less than market value of $10 for the operation of certain commercial space referenced in attachment 6, the February 5, 2020 planning report on RZ 19-7, 19-5, DBP 20-3 is a daycare facility, subject to Comox zoning amendment bylaw 1934 and Comox phase development agreement authorization bylaw 1935, Aspen Muralette being adopted by council in its sole and unfettered discretion.
Move. Second.
Question? Seeing none, all in favor? Great. Thank you very much. So that will take care of that issue, and we'll move to the public hearing on the 5th. See, I just had as much to say as you did at the public hearing. All right, so we're going to move on to correspondence, and that is Jake Martins. That's the Comox Valley Regional District 2020 Community Comox Valley Water Committee voting structure.
I'll proceed with that.
And any questions or comments from Councilor McKinley?
I find it highly ironic that we have saved water from 1995 to today, and we save water, but we do not get a higher level of voting.
Right. The more water consumption you use, the more votes you get, and it is ironic. Comox has shown a reduction in consumption since 1995. We were a leader in water meters years ago, and I think that's Councilor Grant, you had a question?
Well, no, not a question, just a comment to that. This has long been my pet peeve at the regional district is government and voting structure specifically on the water. The problem with it is that Courtney has enough votes to dominate the entire board. They can pretty much do as they please. So we can't get them to relook at governance because they just vote it down. So you can never get to where you want to go. So we have made suggestions. I've got quite a bit of support from the area directors. I don't think it's good governance or good in any way of one community have the ability to dominate the entire thing. And I frankly don't even know why they got it, but they got it. I think that doing it, you should be doing this by population or some other way rather than consumption. This goes way back to the 70s and the 80s, and that's the way it was done. So it's pet peeve. We bring it up continually, but it is what it is for now.
Yeah.
So join the bandwagon.
Yeah. Councilor Mingus.
Kind of a follow-up to what Ken said. Do we know if the population breakdown was done by population, if the votes would change that much? I believe they have over double what we have.
They do, and it may or may not. One of our problems, of course, in Comox is we haven't really grown that fast because we hit our boundaries and we're out of land. So we're not growing at the pace. I think Courtney with Crown Isle is probably growing faster than we are. So, but you know, there should be a mechanism in there to say no one should have the ability to have enough votes to take everybody. I mean, if they wanted, just say they wanted to do something really crazy, everybody should be at least able to gang up and say, no, we don't want it, but we can't even do that.
No.
So,
You can't even get a regional
you
district.
can't even tie it, yeah, so.
I guess, like you say, that's.
So
the way it
we
is.
continue, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get one of these.
Everybody let their taps run for a while, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get about a week moment one time. So,
Okay,
see the light.
so, now, that's just correspondence. Are we voting on that?
Just to receive.
Just for receipt, yeah. All in favor? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, vote on that.
Yeah,
But I do need a formal motion to allocate the votes.
right,
So
yeah.
I do need a motion as it is worded here.
Okay, so, yes, so then, that the distribution of wind votes to town of Comox directors, the Comox Water, Comox Valley Water Committee be as follows: Councillor Grant and Councillor Bissinger is the alternate with 2 votes, Councillor Swift with Councillor Minions alternate with 1 vote.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, so still move receipt of the first part, or we just vote it all in together? Or let's just vote it all together.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so all in favor? All right, there we go. We go home to your taps. I'm just joking. As I look at the camera. Look at you. Just joking, Troy. Yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, I know, yeah. All right, so we don't have any late items, and we'll go into reports from members of council. And Councillor Grant, go ahead.
Oh, you're gonna make me go first, so, we had, well, I'll start with, the Glacier View Lodge. I went to the Glacier View Lodge, land charrette, just to see, they're pretty open to affordable housing issues, and I noticed one thing that Marvin said is that we could spend our money on property in Comox. Of course, Glacier View is not in Comox, so we might want to think of that, because they seem pretty open to that sort of concept of maybe doing something there. Anyway, also attended the Sports Commission meeting, and I've got a copy of all the budgets here if anyone wants to see what they are. I think our overall budget for that is about $4.95 per household. They rolled out their Perfect Mind software that we did, said it was it rolled out pretty smoothly, so that was better than the way it rolled out for us. But maybe they learned from our stuff, and the increase is about $95,500, and mostly for personnel costs over that time frame. What else did I do? Feasibilities. We did about, how many budgets did we do? About 6 budgets. So we did feasibility, that's got about a 35-cent impact. Victim services, $2 impact. Search and rescue, $3.30 impact. So as we went through the budgets, and I've got them all here, so whatever boring you all.
I've got a copy.
I've got a couple of copies too. So I think the important part of the regional district on this was the overall increase, not including water, sewer, and 911. I think is $17.99 for a $500,000 house. So not a huge increase. Last year was about $48. So that's what we've been doing lately. The other thing we looked at was the farm tax. Arzino wanted to bring in a farm tax that would raise the farm tax to about $7,000 for small farms. We debated that quite a bit and decided not to take that. She wanted to take that to ADICC and try and get some traction. We decided that probably wasn't the right thing to do that with, that it should be more of a provincial issue, so we did that. Yeah, what else did we do? That was about it. If you look at the budget, that's
Okay,
that's my report.
thank you.
Attended a co-op housing meeting that the CRD group put on. That was about a 3-hour meeting that Councilor McGowan and Councilor McKenna were at. I did take some extensive notes that I meant to protect, but unfortunately don't have them with me. But there was about 32 different groups there, including some MLAs, the BC Co-op Federation, the Housing Hub, basically lots of different groups. groups. So it's something that they feel now is the time for communities to be seeing if there's any land. If you provide land, there's the potential for them to build the co-op housing, which has kind of a lasting impact. So I'll come more prepared to speak about it the next time, but a couple of good little tidbits that came out was someone said we should probably be talking to Raymond Wong from the BC Housing Hub about the 6 affordable units Aspen, pending how that goes, but there's potential that they would chip in a large amount of money potentially for that. That's exactly the type of project they're looking for. And the Comox, I believe, because I remember it to me, I think it was Comox Presbyterian Church.
I think that was.
There was 2 gentlemen from that church saying they're interested in looking at housing on their property. So that's interesting because they were the only church at that meeting, and that always kind of goes in our heads about who has land. Their church in Vancouver did a large housing development, so now they're interested. They're up on Guthrie, so at some point they may be a good, a good connection to think about what type of housing they want. But there was quite a lot of notes, and I wanted to make a presentation, but I don't have everything. So
Next up.
but time is really of the essence
Yeah.
on this specific topic. But it was a very packed meeting, and it was basically 3 hours of information. So it was good.
Oh, great, thanks. Yeah, the more money we get, the more the rents will be.
Yeah, so
Make it
that was one
much.
note that I made with Raymond Wong, the deputy, was speaking to her.
Good, okay. Councilor McGowan.
No. I attended the Museum and Archives board meeting. They've got a new set of bylaws that are almost complete, and they'll be coming out before the AGM to be shown to all the members. AGM is on March 14th. I attended the co-op housing meeting, which was very interesting to see what was coming. I look forward to hearing the rural health meeting with a couple of individuals who are part of the group going around and talking to all the rural towns, cities about what health care looks like for them and how they're managing what their needs are, what their where the gaps are, all that kind of thing. I sat down with a few community members, met with Andrea Capelli. I attended the community drug strategy or policy meeting. They're reforming the Courtenay Drug Council to encompass the whole valley. And so they're wanting somebody from everybody around to have a say. I attended the Community Hive at Film Festival, and there was a lot of really awesome active people there. I tried to go to the Ingrid Wilkins Center Chi music workshop, but it was canceled once the power went out all through recording, and the work was available. And went to the gala, try and represent all. Get our name out there.
Thank you.
I attended the girl site visit along with Councilor John and Councilor McKenna, and they left us with this little brochure of theirs. And the purpose is, it's noted, is just to go around and gather information, what challenges communities are having and what's going on. So it was a good conversation. They taped it. They will send us transcript, which we can all view. And if there's anything you would like to add, we can do that. So just watch for it. And other than that, the Sage Community Sports Commission and CBRD meeting. And as Councilor Brent has already reported out on it, there's a lot of budgeting items. But also they received our affordable housing letter, and the response from them was generally correspondence was to go through the college. I don't know that we're going to be getting any further funding.
Thank you. Councilor.
Yeah, so the advantage of going last is I was everywhere else that everybody was. last. Or second last, I guess. So I did attend the Community Justice Center board meeting. There is the Campanella lecture series upcoming. It's also on the same night as our public hearing, so some people will go to that. I did meet with a local new development organization that's in town called New Commons Development, and they're a financier as well for affordable housing. Very sharp young man named Dion White, and he's the Rural Communities Development Director. So they're across Canada developer, and so they're new to our community. Also attended the Glacier View drop-in of the Charette, the cooperative housing meeting, and the rural health site visit meetings. That's for sure.
Great, thank you. Well, I was gone for a week, but while I was here, I attended a whole bunch of stuff. I just realized that I had the Chamber breakfast at Chamber of Commerce had their breakfast, and it was about the survey that they had done a year ago where we are in the valley with jobs and so on. It was quite interesting. I do believe they sent the link out to everybody for council emails. The planner and I had a meeting with CVAC and talked with the acting CAO about some of their needs of expanding. Like all of you, the CAO interviews that we've done. The Leaders Lunch, we do this every 2 months where the 3 mayors and the RD chair and the wing commander meet, and with the and with the First Nations. We meet, sit down, have a really informal discussion and a meal, and it's quite good. It's nice meeting. Attended with Councillor Grant, Bill Smith's retirement. He's our bylaw officer. He's retired on Friday and then he's back on Monday. So stay tuned if you missed that retirement party. There'll probably be another one coming up with some.
Well, he figures if he's retired, it gets pretty good.
So he'll be around. He's just transitioning for the new term card, not term, but part-time person, right? Casual, yeah. I met with the developer the other day and talking about getting in the queue and how one need kind of surpasses another need, and it just shows that there is interest in building in Comox, and we're trying to get them in and trying to process them as fast as we can, and sometimes we're not getting them as fast as we can because we have other priorities that pop up. So it was a good meeting with the planner again. We met with Providence Healthcare here a couple of days ago, and Providence Healthcare is the ones who have the St. Joe's site with the Center of Excellence that they want to build for dementia, and they're going to be having some news come out in the near future about that. Met with the new Anglican Church minister, a priest, I'm not sure what you call them. Minister, okay, and Sulin Mill, who's actually a really nice lady. She's come over from the UK and she's taking the reins of the church, and we met in the mayor's office and talked, and she wants to get involved in the community. I told her we got a great bunch of councillors, with the exception of Councillor Grant, and that you can all, of course they didn't say
Get that in the paper.
And I said, she has any comments or things that she would like to talk about with community members, that feel free to contact any one of us. And last night I spoke at the Comox Valley Rotary Club along with Mayor Bob Wells, and we had a whole series of questions. It was like a mini all candidates meeting, and I thought I was done with those, but not. So, but it went well. It was a fun crowd, and we touched on everything from social programming to upcoming budgets to environment, and it was good. So that's all I have, and I think we'll move to adjourn, and then we'll stick around because we have an in-camera meeting. Oh yes, sorry about that. Yeah, apologize. And first, public or media. Media, okay. So Troy, any questions? Okay, you'll call me tomorrow, I'm sure.
Well, a lot of it.
Yeah. And sir, do you have any questions from the, okay, yeah, all right, well then, we'll move to adjourn and exclude the public from the in-camera meeting today.
I'll move that.